Math testing is another one of our benchmarks. At this point in time, we're up about 15% in the distinguished area. We are up 10% in the proficient area. So that is sort of where we are. That is where we're thinking we're going to be in the springtime. That's where we're wanting to be in the springtime. And I feel pretty confident that we can get there. We have spent so much time this year on literacy, and especially from the writing component. We have some great strategies that we're doing, and I feel like that all of our testing will go up this year. And the best for last is we just received a national award. This award is the Schools to Watch Award. It's a National Forum Award. They will be here tomorrow to present this award to our school. There's 4 areas of demonstrators that you must master. There's 132 criteria points. It was a very, very demanding scholastic audit that we've been through. We've been through this for about 3 years now, and this year we actually met all the goals based upon the National Forum of Schools to Watch. So we're very proud of this. This gives us, I feel like, the momentum, the push, and the drive to make it a great year and to make it into test time. We're ready for testing. Questions?
Mr. Carver, I don't want to put a damper on this Schools to Watch award that you're going to get tomorrow, but I'd like to know at Levy Middle School how many students do you all know cannot read on grade level?
At the beginning of the year,
yes.
We haven't done an ST.
At the beginning of the year, the last time.
Well, it's different for each grade level, but we're still talking 40%.
Okay.
But it's different. Some are higher, some are lower, but we're right at 40%. Some are, very close to meeting that, but no, we're still not there. We're not there.
I just want to ask a question. The 15% up in distinguished and the 10% up in proficient, is that kind of a generalization for both reading and math?
Yes, it was. I'm sorry.
I
I
thought it was.
clear.
I just want to clarify.
For reading and math. We also did language arts, but I don't have those scores. We didn't do it 3 times. So
Mr. Hamilton would like to ask that question again because we couldn't hear you right now.
The question, or really clarifying statement, was the comment was made that the distinguished scores were up by about 15%, proficient scores were up by about 10%. My question was that both reading and math? And which I thought it was, but just to clarify, the answer is yes, it is. It's both content areas.
But the math is still quite a bit higher than the reading.
Thank you, Mr. Farmer.
Thank you all.
This evening we're just going to share a little bit of progress with our math assessment, also with our SRI testing, focusing on math and reading, and then also some of the strategies we're using in our SIP, our school improvement plan. So Ms. Wright will be talking about our reading progress, Ms. Farmer will be talking about our math progress, Mr. McFall is passionately going to share about his ABC club, and then that'll wrap us up. So, Kim?
All right. All of the scores that I'm looking at are here on the screen. You can see with our reading scores, with our map from the beginning to the end of the year, from 207 to 213 in the 6th grade. Same thing in the 7th grade, 215 to 217, and then the 8th grade, 218 to 220. So all of those scores, we have shown improvement in the area of reading.
Those three, I think.
Yes. And then recently we gave our students the SRI test again, which is the Scholastic Reading Inventory. saw significant improvements in those areas. Like in the middle school, we don't have all students that are reading on grade level. We still have students that fall below grade level. But when we went back and analyzed the data for those, we did see that a lot of the students, even though they're below grade level, have shown significant improvement. For example, I had a 6th grader, beginning of the year, Lakeside level 343. Recently, when I gave it to him, 562. So he's still way below grade level, but at the same time, he improved 200 points. You have to celebrate that. Another student, 523, beginning of the year, not so bad, 769 when they retook the test. Again, still below grade level, but we're proud of that. So.
And I would really stress on that SRI for the 8th, 7th, and 6th grade. When you look at the first test at the beginning of the year, then you look at the last test at the end of the year, just recently, you can see a big shift in the students. For example, in the 8th grade, first test we had 14% to be advanced, and then the last test had jumped up to 27% of the students. And every one of those areas, I think, showed growth, improvement. So we increased on the advanced proficient end. And if you look down on the below basic, the novice, if you want to say in, once again, just like the 8th grade, you see the first test, 16% of the students were below basic, and we were able to reduce that down to 7%. So I think those are some very significant numbers for throughout the school year.
John, I'm not going to ask you all the same question that I asked Linda. What percent of the students at St. Charles Middle School read below grade level?
Well, if you want to call that below grade level basic or below basic, then I guess you would just look at those. But as far as giving you a set percentage, I could give that to you right now.
Okay, but would you say that it's
40 to 50%. 40 to 50, I would say.
40 to 50%. Okay, now I'm going to ask every school this question when you get up, so everybody just be prepared to answer. It's for a reason. It's not trying to put focus on any particular school or whatever, but I have a reason to do it.
It's your basic and below basic. So they're below. In math, we've also seen increases at all grade levels. As you can see by looking at that table, I won't read those numbers to you. Something that we have done is both the reading and math teachers have met with each student individually and gone over their scores with them. We did give them a novice, apprentice, proficient, distinguished rating. We told them, if you took the K-Prep today, this is what we predict that you would get. But also we talked to them about their improvement. Because we had some kids who would still be novice, but they had improved 18, 20, 25 points. And so we thought that was worthy of acknowledging that with them, how much they had improved, even though they are still novice, and showing them, you just need this much more to be apprentice. And that can be quite motivating for them to know that I just have a little bit more to go.
Yeah, we kind of had two celebrations. It was, the kids who scored proficient and distinguished, and then the kids who just jumped up so many points. That way those kids, if they didn't get recognized, for being proficient and distinguished because they're still below grade level, they were still recognized for making so much money.
And we are still looking at those ones that are in that novice category and kind of targeting them in our RTI time and our reinforcement classes and things like that to try to get them up in the last few weeks that we have.
Down at the bottom tab, didn't pull all of it, but just wanted to highlight a few of the improvement strategies from our school improvement plan and where we are with those. Standardized grading, of course, that's, I guess, pretty much county-wide now. That's on our trying to get all students up to proficiency through the reteaching, the test retakes. That's implemented school-wide. Everyone's doing that. It's kind of funny, I didn't think about this, but I had a parent call yesterday When we did our 4-H speeches, the parent called because he wasn't real happy what his kid got for a grade. And I mean, he was very good, very positive. But we were sitting there talking, and then he looked at me and said, "Now, y'all have this standardized grading going on, don't you?" Uh-huh. He goes, "Students get to retake for tests if they want to try to improve." Yes. So this speech grade was put in as a test grade. So he looked at me like, "So is he going to get to redo this?" And we are. I think he had a very valid point. But I found that just to be a little bit humorous looking at it from that angle, and I appreciated him as a parent making that point. Literacy, definitely across the school, and I think the program reviews really helped to ensure that. We really focused in on our program reviews and looking at the data to support the different indicators. And one of those reviews, of course, is on writing. And that helped to ensure that it's happening school-wide, each classroom. And of course, we all know about daytime waiver and such for addressing gaps, also the reinforcement classes, but all those are fully implemented across the school. Focus on rigor and relevancy. We're working in partnership with KASE, so I like the collaboration of doing that with an outside organization. They have come in, done a walkthrough of the school, just going into every classroom, checking for the rigor and the level of relevancy. Just did that last week and the week before, so I still haven't got the report back from them, but that's the first step. This summer, one of our PDs will be over rigor and relevance by KASE. And then next year, the plan is for them to come back in the first semester and do another walkthrough. And hopefully we can see the difference between this walkthrough and the one that happens fall of next year. And be very easy to determine the effectiveness of it that way. Then the last item, Mr. McFall, if you want to touch on that.
Well, 4 of our students came to me one morning some time ago and said, you know, we're a little concerned about bullying and different social things going on in the school. I said, okay, then let's sit out here and see what we need to do about it. So we came up with what we call the ABC Club, which is the Anti-Bullying Club, and this program, and Mr. Brady said I'm very passionate about it and very excited about it. It's completely student-driven. We came up with a charter, we came up with a preamble for our club and different things, and I'm just acting as a student, as a faculty advisor. These kids are doing it all on their own, and they have done a tremendous job. The interest and involvement in this little club has been amazing. I mean, when we have a club meeting, 40 to 50, and sometimes more than 50 kids come into the meeting. We have it in the morning, about 25 or 30 minutes before class starts. And I told these kids when we first started this, I said, we have to make it interesting, and we have to make it fun, make people want to come, but still sticking to what it is we're trying to achieve here, and that is relationships with each other, being kind, being polite, you know, taking up for people who are being bullied, reporting bullying when it needs to be reported. And so we incorporate all that in with a strong message every meeting we have. Try to do fun things. And we had an anti-bullying week at St. Charles, whatever. Tremendous response from the kids in all grade levels. The faculty really got into it also. So we had a really super good week and brought some social issues up. You know, relationships are very hard for middle grade students. So that's one thing we're trying to work on, relationships and being kind and being helpful and, you know, just working on the social aspects. We kind of got started late this year, but we're going to already making plans for next year. We're going to go full force with it. We're going to expand what we do, try to reach out more. We've had kids come into these meetings that, you know, the kind of kid that never talks to anybody, never wants to do anything. But these are the kinds of kids we're having come to these meetings. We're making them feel wanted. We're making them feel important. We want them to come. So we're very proud of that, and we're going to continue with that and expand on that next year.
And of course, taking care of the emotional, social side, besides that within itself, but hopefully that's also going to help your academic performance. Appreciate your attention. Any questions? Thank you.
One thing I'm proud of is I make really nice posters now. So I need somebody to do it. And if you don't see it, you want to see it. If you haven't noticed when you walk in, you need to check your honor wall out in the foyer. Take some pictures of it. I know some people on there. Our big emphasis this year has been ACT from the get-go. It is the one test that I firmly believe has any validity or reliability when it comes to seeing if we're progressing for college and career rating. And so we did it last year, however, a bunch of trainings and then talking to other principals from other schools, particularly LaRue County. We've already had 2 visits to LaRue County, which is a part of our school improvement plan to visit high-performing schools that have very similar makeup as we do, and they're all about the ACT. And that, to us, that's what shows if our kids are ready to compete in the real world academically. And with that, hopefully you've had some good reading before your reading, especially board members, since it was placed in front of you all to read while you were eating. We're all about progress. We're about improving. We're supposed to be a progressive school. We know we are a focused school. However, I feel that we will make progress this year and we'll move up to that one point because if you see everything that's listed here, we are moving forward. We have in 2012, 18-4, we did a practice test this year. That's another idea that LaRue County gave us. Well, in fact, I didn't know they did one time. I went over there in the spring. And after the practice test, I said, Lord, they're going to have to do something or they'll run me out of town here. Well, when it comes time for the real deal, they stepped up and performed. We've emphasized it. I can't attribute factors. It's very simple. We've implemented high expectation. We have a reward system here. Probably spent about $20,000 on rewards this year for these kids, taking them to eat, buying them iPads, you name it, for anything we do, come to prep sessions, come to school in general, of just, just being the good students they have. One of the biggest things that Coach Peterson and I have really talked about today was flipping this school to a student-centered school. And if you don't already tell that, we're going to feed our whole school if we have to make the kids feel comfortable doing everything. They really like it, they really enjoy it. Daily, weekly practice. There's a big emphasis on doing at least some sort of ACT strategy each day, or at least weekly in your content area, just not teaching the standards, but making sure that you're talking about ACT, that you're practicing ACT, and you're making the kids aware of the importance of ACT. Not even the kids. Every time we have a registration night or parent night or parents will talk about GPA, I don't even go there. I go straight to ACT. Even kids now, the seniors who have applied for college, that's the first thing they say. The college is telling us GPA is really not matter. We want to know what the ACT score is and what other things that you do besides just taking classes and everything. They're going more toward civic and community responsibilities in the ACT or the SAT. Priority, like I said, that's been our priority. It will continue to be our priority. We do have our EOCs. The state keeps on changing how that goes every time you turn around. One minute you got to be doing constructive responses, the next minute saying, oh, they're not going to count anymore. And so we went from on-demand writing this year to focus on constructive response because we figured that was a weak point, and then they tell us, oh, we're not counting for constructive response this year. So So ACT is the one thing that never changes. It is the one thing that's constant at all times. And our kids want to succeed, they have to be able to perform on this test. Delegation responsibility. I got 2 assistant principals, I got the interventionists, I have the counselors, but the interventionists, my 2 assistants, I don't do it all. I do focus on instruction as much as possible. And the data, Ms. Losher, you can tell you that. All the time she sees me, I'm always full of the data. And I had a colleague who's a superintendent for other things that if you're about the data, that's all that matters. And I had a college professor tell me the same thing. But we're making strides. You'll see, if you notice the banner out in the foyer has the scores from last year, then the 30s. Just this class alone, that's 21, this is junior class, 36, 61, 78, 93 scores in the 30 of each subject matter, compared to what about 20 out there. This current senior class has about 70-something. You know, so that's a big honor. I mean, that shows that we're moving. Someone asked me the other day, what did I see? Are we moving the high-end students to improvement? Are we moving the low end? Are we moving the middle? And I'll say that most of the improvement right here that you see, and it's not 100%, maintain and improve. A lot of reasons why this is not higher is because I got kids who are in the 30, 31, 32, 33, or 27, 28, 29. They could have got 33 to 32. They met the benchmark, but I didn't show the improvement because it went backwards. Doesn't mean they're not bad, but we are moving those kids that are in that middle grade to the high end, low grade up. You know, and calculation, I don't know how many, honestly, I calculate based on what Mr. Farr and Mr. Bray said about reading. So I calculate about 38% of our kids are not reading on grade level. We know that. You can ask every teacher. We have a lot of kids in this building that do not read on grade level, but we're not using that as a barrier. A lot of these kids who improved, you know, I thought these numbers would be a little bit higher because I thought special ed would come through a little bit stronger. They came in, you know, majority of them came in better than what they had on the practice test, which is great, but it still was not high enough to get us up to 20.0, which is our site-based goal this year. However, we went up 2/10 of a point. And talk to Ms. Slosher, Robbie, any other high school principal, you move up 1/10 on the ACT, you're being successful. And so, like I said, we're improving ourselves. Our school improvement plan, this will be put up. Now, these are my preliminary numbers because I got back. ACT will have to do all their data configuration. I'm thinking this is going to be very, very similar to what, if I do it in the fall, that it will be. You know, they won't have the practice test, but I'll know all that. Our school improvement plan will be listed in the foyer. We'll hang it up for everybody to see. That reflects, and the teachers will be reflecting that in documentation purposes this year of how they're achieving that through the professional growth plan and in their classroom. Our focus is vocabulary, questioning strategies, and our assessments are congruent, which means if the standard is compare and contrast, then the question they ask in the assessment is compare and contrast. You cannot really create a high-functioning multiple-choice question for a standard that is compare and contrast. You have to have a constructive response, a short answer, or an essay. And so that's where we're going to make sure our assessments are congruent to the actual standard. So our teachers have, we've got work in progress. LaRue County's been doing this for 9 years. The principal's been there for 9 years. He finally got it where he needs to be, that they're being successful in a top 10 school district. It's going to take time. We're going to move forward. Our job is to move forward, and Coach Peterson and myself and Ms. McCray are pushing that to go forward. And the teachers, we sent 5 teachers over today, they came back, and it gave me sort of a renewed spirit of we're doing some of the things they are doing, which makes them excited because they don't look at me like I'm a quack or something, that I'm just treating these things out of left field. That there's other successful schools doing this, and it's just not a Marion County thing. It's a thing that a lot of people are going to. It's out of the box. We don't do things normal here. We try to be innovative, and the more we do that, the better off we are. We're really proud of our attendance right here. It could be higher, but got to compliment Dr. Hamilton the Friday before prom. The Monday after prom, we still had a high attendance rate. It wasn't that bad. But you'll see that I believe the 60-40 split is the problem in education. And if you see here, 60% of our kids, 61%, come to school 95% of the time. We have about 39-40% that can care less about coming to school or don't show up to school. How can we be successful if 40% of our population doesn't care to come to school in the first place? And so that is something we have to push even harder, because we believe if they are here, they will. Any questions for me?
You made the comment that you didn't consider having 35% can't read a grade level not a barrier.
No. I don't make excuses.
So we don't use it.
We don't use excuses here.
Same thing.
We will make things
I'm not saying
happen.
it's an excuse, I'm saying if you don't consider it a barrier to your
After
scores.
doing the practice test and grading the ACT, you do not have, a 36 out of 36 is a perfect score. But take the test, it's 45 questions. If the 24 is really my idea of starting getting scholarships, you only have to get 60% of those questions correct. And so, being able to help those kids read even more, if we teach them the vocabulary, they'll go even further. They can get up to a 14, 15, 16, and we can do more intervention to get them to pass the compass test. Because after being involved with the compass test, it's accepted for colleges. It's not as rigorous as ACT, but they still accept that score. And so there's all these other avenues that we can do once we get a baseline score of what strategies we can use to get them to a level where they can get into school. So we're not going to say, no, you can't read, or you don't read on grade level, it's going to happen. No, we're going to push them even more to make them read on grade level. So that's what I mean, it's not a barrier.
Okay, well, I understand that.
Okay.
When you made the comment first, you explained it. So it's fine.
Would a student reading at or above grade level historically score better than someone who doesn't?
Yes, historically, but it's also the fact that, we found out in all the tests, we get the ASVAB, we get the COSA, there's the work keys, we have all these assessments we give, and some of them score better on others. It depends what their interest is. ASVAB is an aptitude test that's basically career-oriented. So my career-oriented kids who are not as high on my 35 ACT might score better, might pass the ASVAB and score good on it, but not do so well in the ACT because it's different material. It just depends on what type of material we're reading that they will understand. ACT is more academic, ASVAB is more career-oriented, say with the COSA or anything like that. But I will guarantee you that the ones who score high on the ACT will score high on everything. But the other part of it, if you're a low ACT score, you might score better on the other career aptitude tests than you would on the ACT. So that gives us some leeway. Yes, Ms. Wong.
We were sort of curious as to where you get all the money for your rewards.
Student activity account. Your parents in here, when you come, you pay your registration dues, all that money we collect goes right back to the kids. I mean, we spend it on everything, whatever the kids need. After the ACT, we gave every kid $5 to go eat out lunch in Walmart parking lot and everything. We got the receipt sheet, was called around, that has all the names down, they signed it themselves and everything, $5. And so, and the kids loved it. I mean, that's all. I mean, the kids enjoyed that more than anything else. And very simple. We had kids who were taking ACT because the teachers had emphasized it so much. They were making sure their classmates, because they were going to get a pizza party if they worked a certain amount of minutes and never went to sleep, blah, blah, blah. They had other kids in there policing their classmates from the same class to make sure they were not falling asleep or anything like that. It paid off in the end. I mean, that's basically how we do it. We challenge these kids. I go in before any big test, I basically just ask them, please give your best effort. Once in your life, please give your best effort. That's all I ask you. It's all I want from you. And most of the kids give their best effort. It's very plain and simple. I mean, we don't do anything complicated here.
I know you're basing, this is just about the ACT right here.
Yeah.
This presentation, I understand that.
Well, graduation rate's gone up 3 points.
Graduate, okay. But you made the comment that you thought your reading below grade level is about 35%.
Yeah, 38 if you take what John and Todd said. I just did because we had 925 kids. I took their 49 times it by 925 and I come up with 38%.
Okay, but my question is, you made a comment earlier in your presentation. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, I'm just wanting to answer a question.
Okay.
That you said
how important it was to gather data, and college professors tell you how important the data is. Keep reading the data, keep looking at the data. But you don't have any data telling you how many kids are reading below grade level.
No, I mean, I don't, we focus on it, but it's not, you know, I look at the Explorer. If you look at my Excel spreadsheet, I got all John and all Todd scores starting with 8th graders right now. We know coming in who, if they're reading at below the benchmark on those tests, we know we're going to have to focus on them. I don't know what their reading level is, but we know based on that test that they're going to have to need some more help. They're going to have different types of strategies in the classroom. And those who are already above the benchmark, then we're going to be teaching them a different way to take the test or assess them or anything like that. So when I'm saying I'm not knowing what grade level they are, I know what their college rating scores are, and I know what strategies they will have to use in order to move that kid towards college rating. I mean, our big thing is college career ready. I mean, that's what the state's looking at. I know districts, the board has passed, if you don't get a high school diploma now if you don't have 100% college career ready. That's bull counts. You know, that's the next few years. But that, I don't get into particularly just reading level. I look at their college rating scores and we know who's below the benchmarks and who's really below. So,
Part of the reason for that is the K-Prep assessment, where they do reading and math, only goes up to the 8th grade. So there really isn't a state assessment beyond the 8th grade that gives you that score. There are some other like tests like Scholastic Reading Inventory, and somebody who's smarter than me would have to come out. I don't know if that goes up to the high school or not. Diane, you know if that goes beyond.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure that it does. There's not a lot of assessments that specifically address the reading piece of it, once you get past the 8th grade.
yes, Mr. Sid.
Well, it seems to me that